J. Stephen Gordis, CPA, CVA. Steve is a partner in the firm, having over 35 years of accounting experience with specialization in management and tax consulting services. Prior to joining the firm in 2004, Steve served as managing partner of S.J. Gordis & Company for 30 years, with an emphasis in buying and selling of businesses, asset protection, income and estate tax planning, business valuation, litigation support. Steve's expertise and creative business insight is relied upon by many of the clients in their daily decisions and the services of a trustee, so many of them. In addition to being a CPA, Steve has earned the accreditation of CVA as Certified Valuation Analysis Analyst. This is an indication of the highest level of capability and expertise which one can obtain in the field of business valuation and related areas. Professionally, Steve has served as the president of the Lafayette Charter of CPA Board, member of the Louisiana Society of CPAs, and the chairman of the Louisiana CPA Financial Planning Committee. Steve has long-standing membership in both the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Society of Louisiana Certified Public Accountants. In the Lafayette community, his contributions include secretary, treasurer, and board member of the United Way, board member of the Lafayette Chamber of Commerce, state treasurer, Louisiana JCs, treasurer of Our Lady of Fatima School Foundation, member of the Vision Committee for the Lafayette Parish School System, and a member of the Board of Governors of the City of Lafayette. Steve is a 1971 graduate of the University of Southwestern Louisiana, now University of Louisiana Lafayette. Receiving a Bachelor of Science degree in accounting, has achieved a CPA certification 74 and a CVA certification in 1998. We're certainly happy to have him with us this evening. Thank you for being here. Steve?
Thank you. I'm going to be speaking tonight about the problems that I think that we have at the Lafayette Regional Airport. As you know, Paul Fournette Air Service has recently filed a complaint with the FAA alleging that there was discrimination for failure to conduct a fair FBO lease process, and also for malfeasance for failure to get fair market value for airport property. As fate would have it, approximately 2 hours ago, we received the response from the FAA, and I am disappointed to say that it was not a good response. The FAA ruled that the Lafayette Airport Commission was within their bounds to award the lease to Millionaire of Cincinnati. So I would suppose you're most probably thinking right now this could be the shortest meeting this group has ever had. That's not the case. Not the case at all. I still think we have significant problems at the Lafayette Airport, and that's what we're going to be talking about. This ruling by the FAA has really did very little to my presentation that I planned on discussing with you. I feel like until we get good answers exactly why our airport commission has decided not to fly Lafayette, there's a lot more questions that need to be asked. This airport commission, when you look over the last 2 years, has actually bent over backwards to accommodate this company out of Cincinnati, Ohio. My question is why? The other disturbing fact when you look at the lease negotiation process is that our airport commission has let Millionaire renege on their commitment to spend $6 million on our facilities, on their commitment to pay fair market rent as determined by our Lafayette Airport Commission. When all was said and done, they reneged on both of those points. Now, I don't know about you guys, but in my dealings in business, when someone gives me his word and then he breaks it, I don't do business with them anymore. That wasn't the case with our airport commission. In fact, Millionaire, over the course of the last 12 months, have reneged on those original commitments not once, but on 4 separate occasions. And our airport commission has continued to exclusively negotiate with only this group. I got a problem with that. And I think the other problem that will need to come out tonight and be discussed further is why, when we ask our airport commission for explanations of doing these type of things, their response is really a bunch of mumbo jumbo. Let me give you an example. When we asked the airport commission why they agreed to accept a millionaire late proposal, and we'll talk about that in a good bit more detail, but suffice it to say, Millionaire accepted a proposal 4 days after the deadline when everybody else was supposed to submit a proposal. And the airport commission's response by their director of aviation, Mr. Greg Roberts, was that, well, this is an open bid process, a little bit different from a formal bid process, and therefore we as commissioners have a lot more flexibility. Flexibility. All right, so let's remember that. Fast forward 12 months down the pike. Now we have a group of Lafayette businessmen, matter of fact, most probably some of the best businessmen this community has to offer. And they are now interested in submitting a proposal to our airport commission after seeing how Millionaire is reneging on their original commitment. And do you know what our airport commission responded? They said that these Lafayette businessmen were too late, and to allow them to come in at this late date would impact the integrity of the process. And you say, what? Okay, now Millionaire can come in and submit a bid 4 days late, and they have flexibility to accept that. We got the cream of crop in Lafayette that's willing to step forward and resolve and rectify the problems we have at the airport. And trust me, we have problems. And yet now the airport commission has a rigid set of rules, okay? And they can't allow the Lafayette businessmen to come forward and submit a bid. Again, mumbo jumbo. So I'm still going to tell the story tonight, and I think when we finish you'll find the story to be quite interesting. Unfortunately, you most probably find it to be quite disturbing as well. So let's continue on. There's a number of stories to be told in this tragedy, for lack of better words. And each one of these stories have their own plots and subplots. And when you listen to all these stories, you will have a tendency to get very confused. It's going to be a very blurry picture. However, if you take the time to connect the dots, all of a sudden the picture starts getting clearer. Matter of fact, occasionally it gets to be crystal clear. And so that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to connect the dots. Now, the story that we're going to talk about tonight basically can be divided in a couple chapters. The root of the problem that we have at the airport, and I think it's important for everyone to understand this, we have a problem. The Airport Commission has determined that our FBOs is the root of the problem, okay? So let's go back and let's make sure we understand exactly what this problem is and how it came to be. In doing so, we're going to talk about how our Lafayette Airport Commission has worked with Paul Fournette Air Service and how they have worked against Paul Fournette Air Service. And then we're going to talk about the lease process. Millionaire, obviously, in my mind, was the favored son of the Airport Commission from the get-go. We're going to talk about the tainted FBO lease process. We're going to talk about Millionaire's Trojan horse bid that was submitted, as fate would have it, on April Fool's Day. We're going to talk about the subsequent reneging on that proposal. We're going to talk about our Airport Commission's defense of this Millionaire of Cincinnati against any and all Lafayette businesses. We're going to talk about the FAA complaint, but only briefly. And then we're going to talk about exactly where we stand today and what the future might hold for us. At the end of the story, you will know what the problem is. You will also know who is most probably primarily responsible for that problem. But what you're not going to know is why does our Airport Commission deem Millionaire of Cincinnati to be the solution to the problem. You're not going to know that, and I don't know the answer to it. Your job tonight is to determine if we have good government operating at our airport. My job tonight is to tell you the facts, try to tell you in such a way that it's without bias. I'll be honest with you, that's going to be difficult for me. And also to alert you to some things that are not facts, but are only allegations, okay, and therefore further research or given the benefit of the doubt to get the Lafayette Airport Commission's input on this will need to be taken before you make your final decision. Having said that, let's talk about who the players are. We have the Lafayette Airport Commission. It's 7 appointees from the City Lafayette Parish Council and the area mayors. They serve without compensation. Their chairman is Mr. Jim Nunn. And of special note, the FAA named Lafayette Regional Airport Louisiana Airport of the Year in 2005. Our airport has done some good things. The commission is supported by a staff of approximately 20 employees, give or take. The director of aviation is Mr. Greg Roberts, and I think our commission's biggest success to date is they have implemented the Fly Lafayette campaign. And as you can imagine, we're going to talk about that a good bit tonight. And then, of course, we have Paul Fournette Air Service. Paul Fournette Air Service was established in 1952 by Paul Fournette. It's been the primary FBO at our airport for some 54 years now. FBO, by the way, stands for Fixed Base Operator, and as such, it has the primary responsibility of taking care of all the private aircraft that fly in and out of Lafayette. Paul was awarded the Civic Cup Award in 1986 for his various contributions to our community. He died in 1992. In 1993, our Lafayette Airport Commission erected the Paul Fournette Memorial at the entrance of the airport. Richard Fournette, Paul's son, is the president today as we speak. So at this point, everything sounds pretty good. What's the problem? The root of the problem is we have some very old facilities out at the airport that, quite frankly, it's an embarrassment to our community. I've flown into quite a number of FBOs over the country, small towns, big towns. I got to say, Lafayette's one of the worst, okay? So we have a problem. Now, some of these facilities, they're over 60 years old. They were here during World War II. The facilities are owned by our Airport Commission, and they're leased to the FBOs. Now, the leases provide that the lessees, which is the FBOs, are to make all repairs and maintenance, including both normal repairs as well as extraordinary repairs. These leases expire in December '07, about 16 months from now. Now, if you talk to the Lafayette Airport Commission, they will tell you that both of our FBOs are in violation of the lease. They haven't made the necessary repairs. They've allowed these facilities to drop down into horrible conditions. They have alleged that each one of these FBOs owe approximately $600,000 worth of repairs. As we speak tonight, neither of the FBOs have made any of these repairs. Furthermore, our Airport Commission will tell you that both of the FBOs' service and quality levels have dropped below minimum standards. And as a result, they have come to the conclusion that these FBOs need to go. These FBOs are the problem. You talk to any commissioner, and I feel confident that's the same story he'll tell you. That's their story, and they're sticking to it. Now, as you know, there's two sides to every story. What side or what version of the story would you hear if you talked to Paul Fournette Air Service or Lafayette Aero? I will tell you that they'll agree with the problem. We got horrible facilities out there, and it truly is an embarrassment to our community. However, they're going to disagree with you as who is responsible for those problems that we have out there. They will tell you that the Lafayette Airport Commission, like Pontius Pilate, does not have clean hands in this matter. They will tell you that the Airport Commission, both the current commission as well as prior commissions, have implemented various policies that has made it almost impossible to make a profit out at the airport. These policies can be defined as three specific policies. One, the Airport Commission's insistence on there being 2 FBOs out at this airport. Second policy, Airport Commission's allowing private corporate hangars to come onto the airport. And the third policy is the high fuel flowage fees charged by the Airport Commission. So we're going to spend a little bit of time looking at each of these, as I think it really is important for you to understand what's happening out there. All right, 2 FBOs at the airport. Fournette has long complained over the years to the Airport Commission that our airport is not big enough to support financially 2 FBOs. And those complaints have fallen on deaf ears. The Airport Commission has insisted that we have 2 FBOs, and in fact have actually subsidized the second FBO on occasion. Now, what do I mean by subsidized? I'll give you an example. In the late 1980s, we actually had another millionaire franchisee out at this airport as a second FBO. That millionaire franchisee was having financial difficulties. Our Airport Commission allowed them to get approximately $300,000 in arrears on rent. That's well over 2 years worth of rent that they allowed this FBO to stay on our airport and compete with Paul Fournette Air Service. I call that subsidization. Again, another example of our Airport Commission bending over backwards. Now, our Airport Commission obviously feels that competition is needed at our airports. Now, in the face of it, I think we would all have to agree. Competition is good, right? Well, let's look at that a little bit closer. Again, we've complained for a number of years to the Airport Commission that we were not profitable. Finally, in 2004, the Airport Commission decided to do something about it and actually look into it. They hired their own CPA firm to go in and inspect the books of the records of both of the FBOs. And when the CPA firm reported back that both FBOs were in fact not profitable, the Airport Commission then came to this conclusion. Obviously, it must be mismanagement. Okay? So that was their determination of what the problem was. So who was right in this issue? Let me read you an excerpt from an article recently that appeared in the National Air Transportation Association Journal, NATA. And the title of this article is, "Should There Be Another FBO at Your Airport?" This really isn't an issue at most airports in America. Thousands of small airports from coast to coast are lucky just to have one professionally managed independent FBO. But in many parts of the country, the conventional wisdom seems to be that the more FBOs there are at their local airport, the better. Most of the time, this viewpoint is totally wrong. At the overwhelming majority of typical airports across the nation, one FBO is enough. It is simply an issue of economics. An FBO is a capital and labor-intensive business that succeeds only if the utilization rate of these physical and human assets is high enough to generate a profit. When adding a second FBO, what kind of realistic market analysis was done to show how that this could make economic sense? What are airport operators thinking when they approve or even go out of their way to solicit a second FBO? Their primary justification hinges on a mistaken understanding of the word competition. They assume to think that a single FBO, alone on a field, has no competition, so adding another FBO creates competition. Now, what I'm getting ready to tell you next, listen very carefully, because this is exactly what I think has happened at our airport to these two FBOs over the last 20 years. So what happens when a second FBO arrives at the typical airport? It varies, of course, but one thing usually quickly disappears from the airport: profit. Without profits, both FBOs will try to cut costs, which usually lowers the services and quality levels. Now, you recall, we just got through talking about that. That's exactly one of the reasons that the Airport Commission wants to kick our FBOs off the airport, because these standards, these quality and service levels have fallen below minimum standards. Continuing on, lower quality discourages based and transient customers, so the combined volume of the two FBOs might actually be less than one had before. As a result, both FBOs often end up raising their prices in an often futile attempt to stay in the black, thereby fulfilling the law of unintended consequences. This same principle explains why there is usually only one grocery store in a shopping center, only one gas station at a turnpike rest stop, only one gift shop in your hotel. The economics of the location, the market, and the service level expected by the customer dictates that one provider would do a better job than two and earn more than enough profit to stay in business. Of course, in each of those cases, there isn't some quasi-political governmental body declaring that there has to be another grocery store or another gas station or another gift shop next door to provide competition. So who is right? You guys need to be the judge. The second issue preventing profits at these FBOs is private corporate hangars. A couple of weeks ago, matter of fact, the August 24th edition of the Daily Advertiser, our Airport Commission proudly announced a new $2.2 million private hangar being built on the airport. I would like to read for you an excerpt from that article. Airport to house private hangar. A partnership of local businessmen is set to break ground today on a private hangar at Lafayette Regional Airport. The hangar, which is estimated to cost $2.2 million, will be the first private development at the airport in more than 20 years. The Airport Commission goes on to say, it kind of carves a path or paves the way for some additional private development. Few airports the size of Lafayette's have private hangars. We're going to talk about that some more. The hangar will be used for private planes and has a separate staff not paid for by the Airport Commission. And although the hangar will be for the use of members only, having a first-class facility to welcome business clients to the area will benefit the whole airport. While the hangar is being paid for by the partnership, the land and hangar return to the possession of the Airport Commission at the end of the lease term. Now, I don't know about you, but when I first read that article, I said, wow, this must be a pretty good deal. Everybody seems to be pretty happy about it. Is there more to the story? Yep, I'm afraid there is. Again, let's go back to that one section, and I quote the Airport Commission. Few airports the size of Lafayette's have private corporate hangars. Now, why do you think that is? Is it possible that maybe our Airport Commission is pioneers and have discovered a new niche, a new way to create profits that none of the other airports have discovered? Well, let's drill down and think about that a little bit more. There are 7 planes going into this new private corporate hangar. Where were they before? The answer, those 7 planes are presently customers of our 2 FBOs. How much profits will our FBOs lose when those 7 planes move over to this new private corporate hangar? Mr. Fournette has calculated that the FBOs will lose approximately $112,000 a year of fuel profits and hangar rents. Multiply that times 30 years, which is the terms of the lease, and our FBOs stand to lose $3.4 million of profits over the terms of that lease. Now, in addition, Mr. Fournette also says that this hangar will now be in the position, if it wants to hire its own mechanics. And if it did so, they could save perhaps as much as maybe another $50,000 of profits on maintenance. Multiply that times 30 years, you're talking about another $1.5 million. Add it all up, that's $4.9 million that our FBOs could lose because of this one private corporate hangar. Now, is this a good deal for the owners of the new hangar? Well, let's see. They could possibly save 4.9. However, they're going to have to turn over a $2.2 million hangar at the end of their 30 lease, but they still come out $2.7 million ahead. I'd say that's a pretty good deal for the owners of the new corporate hangar. Is it a good deal for our airport commission? Well, we know at the end of 30 years, they're going to get a $2.2 million hangar. So it sounds like it's a pretty good deal for our airport commission too, assuming that the FBOs don't have to file bankruptcy because of it. And obviously, this isn't a very good deal for our FBOs at all. Okay? So when you think about it, our airport commission has 2 tenants, and whenever they do one of these new private corporate hangars, they have 2 pots, and all they're doing is taking money out of one pot, putting it in the other pot. Now, my question to you, and it really should be a question to our airport commission, is who is their most important tenant? Who is the anchor tenant at Lafayette Regional Airport? Is it our FBOs who have the primary responsibility of accommodating over 150 plus aircraft that fly in and out of Lafayette Regional Airport? Or is it the new corporate hangar that's responsible for taking care of 7 airplanes? Is this fair? Is this good business? Is this good government? You be the judge. Now again, I told you I was going to caution you. This $4.9 million calculation is Mr. Fournette's calculation. I think the Lafayette Airport Commission should be given the opportunity to tell you what their calculation is. I'm sure, well, I would at least hope that they have in fact done such a calculation before they entered into this transaction. Is this the only private corporate hangar that we have at our airport? No, I'm afraid not. Again, we haven't had any since almost 20 years now, but during the period of 1977 through 1984, we had 4 additional corporate hangars that were allowed to come onto the airport. How much profit did that cost the FBOs? I will tell you, during that period of time, Paul Fournette Air Services revenue declined approximately 18%. And after that 18% decline, it could be best described that their noses were just barely above the water. And what's happened in the last 20 years? I think it could best be described as Chinese water torture. They have seen their net worth drop by drop by drop shrinking. So, was that fair? Was that good government? You be the judge. The third and last issue that's causing or preventing these FBOs from having profits at the airport is fuel flowage fees. Our airport commission charges the FBOs a fuel flowage fee based on the average cost of the fuel, 7.5%. So as the cost of fuel increases, the fuel flowage fees increases that we pay the airport commission. In 2004, when the new Fournette Group, and I'll talk about that some more, tried to put together a merger of the 2 FBOs and approached the airport commission for a new lease, Paul Fournette was paying approximately 11 cents per gallon for fuel flowage fees. Now again, those fuel flowage fees are passed on to our customers. That's part of the price that we charge our customers. And anytime you do that, you got to look at, well, what is my competition down the road paying? We did a survey at that point in time, in 2004, and here's what we found. In Baton Rouge, they were paying a fuel flowage fee of 8 cents per gallon fixed. Not floating, fixed. Lake Charles, 6 cents a gallon, fixed. Shreveport, 5 cents a gallon, fixed. Monroe, 4 cents a gallon, fixed. Add it all up, shake it up, it averages about to 6 cents a gallon. Yet our airport commission is charging our FBOs 11 cents a gallon, 5 cents a gallon more than our competition. It's hard to compete in that kind of environment. Now, 5 cents a gallon, what does that mean? Let's convert that to dollars and cents. 5 cents a gallon equates to about an extra $100,000 a year of fuel flowage fees that our FBOs were paying the Lafayette Airport Commission, more than what our competitors were paying. Is that good business? Is that good government? You be the judge. So those are the facts. That's the problems that we've had in the past at the airport. Those are the reasons why our FBOs are unprofitable. And again, I caution you, this is what the FBO's version of it. And as you know, our airport commission says that the FBOs were instead mismanaged. So who is right? Who really is the cause of the problem out there? Am I going to ask you guys to be the judge again? Nope. I'm going to let you get off the hook on that one. In reality, Millionaire of Cincinnati has already ruled on that particular issue. Kind of interesting. Let me read for you an article in a letter sent by Millionaire to our Lafayette Airport Commission dated March 27th, 5 months ago. As discussed on multiple occasions, there are numerous concerns regarding the FBO environment at Lafayette Regional Airport, to include the ability of the airport to support more than one quality FBO, the quality, condition, and deferred maintenance costs associated with existing FBO facilities, and last but not least, the continuing proliferation of private corporate hangars with self-fueling rights at the airport. So even the favored son, Millionaire of Cincinnati, says, hey guys, we got a problem over there. Now, so that's, in my opinion, is the guilty verdict. Has our airport commission accepted this guilty verdict? I have good news and bad news. Yes, our airport commission has accepted this guilty verdict. They are now willing to change and allow only one FBO on the airport. They also agreed to change and modify their fuel flowage fee formula, going to a fixed formula with a lower cents per gallon, to approximately 11 cents a gallon. The school's still not out whether they're totally in agreement that private corporate hangars are bad for the FBOs. That's hard to imagine, but anyway, they're still holding the cards kind of close to the vest on that one. So if that's the good news, what's the bad news? The bad news is, who's going to reap the benefits of these new policy changes that our Lafayette Airport Commission has now seen the light? Is it going to be Paul Fournette Air Service, who's been on the airport for 54 years, many of those years having to work and try to make a living under those bad policies? Nope. Is it going to be Lafayette businessmen trying to take over the FBOs for Lafayette? Nope. They're not going to be the beneficiaries either. Who's going to benefit from this new change that our airport commission is getting ready to implement? Millionaire of Cincinnati. So again, another case of what I would call bad government, and definitely not pro-Lafayette. So again, let's take the time now to connect the dots. The problem is we got bad, horrible facilities out there. Who's the cause of those bad facilities? The Airport Commission would have you believe it's Paul Fournette Air Service and Lafayette Aero, because they have not lived up to the terms of their lease and made the required maintenance. Yet, it was the Airport Commission's own policies that have made it impossible for our FBOs to generate profits out there. As a result of no profits, they cut back on a lot of services, including maintenance, not to mention $1.2 million worth of maintenance that the airport wants them to make. And we now have rundown facilities. So, you be the judge. Who is really the cause of the problem of us having these deplorable conditions out there? All right, that takes care of our past problems. Let's talk about the tainted bid process and how Millionaire, the favored son of our Lafayette Airport Commission, came to be. In late 2004, we had numerous meetings. As a matter of fact, for almost 9 months, the FBOs realized that things had to change out at the airport. They could not possibly continue the way they were. And so, after 9 months of negotiations, the two FBOs agreed to merge. They brought in an outside Lafayette investor group, I'll refer to them as the Elmore Group, who agreed to also participate in the new merged entity. And we put together a business plan and approached the Lafayette Airport Commission and said, we would like you to approve this merger. Included in our business plan, we're going to construct a new $3 million facility, but obviously we need a new 30-year lease. Our Airport Commission said, no, we want to open it up to bids. And so in March 2005, they put out a proposal for bids to be submitted. There were 3 FBOs that submitted proposals timely, and they would do March 28th. And on March 28th, 3 proposals were in fact submitted. Surprisingly, 4 days later, Millionaire submitted a supplemental proposal. Even more surprisingly, the Airport Commission agreed to accept this proposal. And this is what has been referred to in the newspapers as the tainted bid process. Now, our Airport Commission has then ruled and granted Millionaire exclusive lease negotiation rights because of this supplemental bid. Their first bid was very, very vague. Their second proposal was very, very specific. Their second proposal said, yes, sir. Yes, you may.
Were the bids publicly read aloud on the date that they were due, or were they just taken in advisory? What was the process of the bids? Were they just taken and somebody said we're going to review them later, or at that meeting did they open the bids, and were the circumstances and the conditions of the bid known on the 28th?
Pat, I'll answer you this in this manner. Steve Oates, who was the attorney that was representing our group at that time, was there at the Airport Commission's office when the bids were opened. We got copies of them, and so I guess it was opened at that time. In fact, we went back to our offices, took the 3 bids, we analyzed them, and said, we won. We have the best proposal.
So at that point, the bids became basically in the public domain.
Yes, I think, yes, you could say that.
4 days later, another bid proposal.
Well, it was really another bid proposal. So this was on March the 28th. On April 1st, a second proposal comes in from Millionaire. Okay? And so Steve Oates is having a conversation with Brenda Burley, one of the airport commissioners, and is talking to her about the bids, thinking that we had the bid. And she said, "No, Steve, you really don't. Matter of fact, y'all actually came in third." And he says, "Brenda, what are you talking about? I'm looking at the bids. We had the best bid. Millionaire, this is a one-page proposal." She says, "Oh, no, I'm talking about the April 1st proposal." And he says, "Brenda, what are you talking about?" And he says, "No, Millionaire submitted another proposal." Okay? So that's how that process came down.
Was that an entirely different proposal, or just added on to what they already had submitted?
Oh, it was entirely different.
Entirely different.
Entirely different. Now that we're digging in on that, I really have it later on my speech, but let's hunker down and talk about it now. I'll give you a little bit of background on that. When the new Fournette group, the proposed merger group, was negotiating with the Airport Commission on the trying to get the new lease in 2004, December 2004, we were dealing with Mr. George Armbruster Jr., who was the FBO subcommittee chairman at that time. And Mr. Armbruster, if he said it once, he said it at least 10 times. "Fellas, your proposal needs to be in writing. It needs to be very specific, and it needs to have provisions in there for a new flight training school." Okay? So, we knew, we had it definitely ingrained in our minds that we needed to have a very detailed, specific proposal. And Millionaire's proposal, not the first one anyway, was very, very vague. Their second one was very, very detailed. And on the point of flight training school, when you look at the second proposal submitted by Millionaire, they have a provision in there that they will in fact have a flight training school. Now when we saw that, Richard Fournette got on the phone and he called the different Millionaire Cincinnati locations. This particular franchisee has 5 different FBOs around the country. Richard called each of those 5 FBOs and asked them about their flight training school. They said, "We don't have a flight training school." So can you imagine? Millionaire of Cincinnati is going to, for the first time, have a flight training school in Lafayette, Louisiana. What a coincidence. What a coincidence. What's even more alarming about that is, let's talk about the Airport Commission's handling of this matter. On April 1st, when the late proposal came in, the Airport Commission actually, or the FBO subcommittee, actually had a meeting. In attendance at that meeting was Mr. Armbruster, Greg Roberts, and some of the other staff, and also Glenn Edwards, who is their legal counsel. And in reading the minutes of that special FBO subcommittee meeting, the minutes state that Mr. Armbruster was concerned about the late receipt of Millionaire's second proposal. And he wanted to make sure that they had not received any information that would make it unfair, give them unfair advantage. And the minutes go on to say that the staff assured Mr. Armbruster that none such information had in fact been given to Millionaire. Based on that, Mr. Armbruster then proceeded forward and made that as his motion to the full board, which was ultimately adopted. Okay? So, if nothing else, Mr. Armbruster made a motion based on what I would say is false information, because it's pretty apparent to me that Millionaire did in fact receive some privileged information about the flight training school.
That would tell you one right there, that very situation. Why would you put another bid if you didn't know anything would happen to the first bid?
Well, there you go.
See what I'm saying?
Oh, trust me, I see what you're saying. I don't have a hard time following that at all.
They would call it, said it should be another one, right?
You said it, Bob, I didn't. All right. So, anyway, that was the tainted bid process. Yes, sir.
Allowed to make a supplemental
No, sir.
Given the opportunity?
They were not. They were not. Okay? So the airport, if you go back and read the Daily Advertiser article on the April whatever meeting where the Airport Commission actually awarded it the exclusive lease negotiation rights to Millionaire, you can see that there was considerable vocal complaint from the Lafayette citizens. And Mr. Armbruster justified it because he got the gist of the message or the gist of the complaint. And he said, you know, if we got $6 million here and the Lafayette group only wants to spend $2 million, you know, that's just too much money. We got to go with the $6 million. Otherwise, the community would say that we were doing whatever. Poor boy, typical, yeah, the old boy situation. Okay, so that's quote unquote coming out of the Daily Advertiser. So that was Mr. Armbruster's position. Okay, so again, key thing here is because they were going to spend $6 million, that's the reason why they were awarded exclusive lease negotiation rights. Now let's talk about that for a second. When I was first told that here's going to be the drill, we're going to take bids. Whoever is the best bidder, they're going to receive exclusive lease negotiation rights. So I'm thinking, well, so they're not going to get the lease. They're just going to say they're in the driver's seat. So in my mind, I'm thinking, well, most probably 95% of the deal will be cut, and they'll just fine-tune it, okay, in this lease negotiation process that will follow. Well, that's not what happened at all, okay? The key two driving points of this proposal, we're going to spend $6 million, and we're going to pay fair market value as determined by the Lafayette Airport Commission, okay? Those were the reasons why the Airport Commission got that exclusive right. And they reneged on it. They reneged on it. And yet our Airport Commission still only exclusively negotiated with this company out of Cincinnati. I don't understand it.
Now what you're saying is Paul Fournette has filed suit in the situation?
Paul Fournette has not filed suit. They filed a complaint with the FAA alleging discrimination in the bid.
Impropriety of belief.
In the bid process, and also for failure to get fair market value or the best top dollar for airport property. Because again, we had Lafayette people that were apparently willing to spend more on the facilities than the final proposal, which we still haven't got to yet. We'll talk about that. But again, the FAA has come back and ruled. So I'll try to fast track on this. Now, in September, Millionaire finally submitted their first proposal, detailed proposal. And in that proposal, it became obvious that they were reneging. They were off the $6 million offer. They were off. They wanted lower fuel flowage fees. The Elmore Group, a Lafayette group, Wayne Elmore, Rodney Savoy, and Mike Poole, all very successful businessmen, who were involved in the original merger attempt, had a meeting, and I was at that meeting, at City Club at River Ranch in December with Mr. Nunn. And at that meeting, the Elmore Group informed the Airport Commission, look, we understand that Millionaire is reneging. We want you guys to know that we're still interested in participating in the FBO. In fact, if you want, we're even willing to disengage ourselves from Paul Fournette Air Service or Lafayette Aero. We'll do it on our own. We have one condition, though. The one thing that we don't want to be is the stalking horse in the Millionaire negotiations. So if you're going to decide to come back and talk to us, you got to totally terminate officially your negotiations with Millionaire. We had a nice lunch. Nothing ever happened after that. Moving on, Millionaire continued to submit proposals that were even worse, lower, further off the $6 million offer. In April, the Lafayette Business Group actually expanded. Joining the Elmore Group was Herb Schilling, Matt Stuller, the Mosings with Frank's Casing Crew, Acadian Ambulance. Like I said, these are some of the best businessmen this community has to offer. And they approached the Airport Commission in early May and said, we're interested in doing something. Now understand this, on April 21st, Millionaire submitted their fourth and last proposal, and it was down to, we will spend a minimum of $2 million on your facilities. So in late April 2006, trust me, our Airport Commission didn't know what to do, okay? Early May, Herb Schilling goes to talk to them, two of the commissioners at least, and he was encouraged. He says, look, we're about ready to throw our hands up with Millionaire, no kidding, and we encourage you to move forward and submit a bid. That business group got together and started conducting due diligence in putting together a proposal for the FBOs. Now, what do you think happened after that? Millionaire all of a sudden rushes back into town, and they hammer out a final agreement with the FBO subcommittee. And what do you think that agreement says? Are they going to spend $6 million? No. The agreement says, we will build a new 10,000 square foot hangar and a new high-rise, high-ceiling hangar, terminal and hangar. No dollar amount. No longer is there a minimum dollar amount. And the second thing that they said is, again, we're going to be paying these fuel flowage fees that are fixed. And again, Herb Schilling then goes and talks to Mr. Nunn, and Mr. Nunn sends him a reply on May 30th. And the reply says, Mr. Schilling, your group has just come to the table too late, that the Airport Commission is going to vote on the Millionaire proposal tomorrow at the June 1st meeting, and I quote, reversing that productive process and turning the clock back more than a year would impact the integrity of the process. Again, they have an answer for everything, and if you're just your normal citizen out there, it sounds pretty good. But if you're following this step by step, you're saying, gee whiz, what's happening over there? Now, on that June 1st meeting, they have the meeting, and to their promise, they approve the Millionaire contract. At that meeting, we had two citizens stand up and speak to the commission. Matt Stuller spoke up and again requested that they delay it for 60 days so that this new Lafayette FBO group would have time to submit a proposal. Furthermore, he cautioned the Airport Commission. He said, guys, this agreement with Millionaire is too vague. I will tell you, I've looked into this. I can build that same terminal and hangar that's vaguely described in that agreement for as little as $3.7 million. Y'all need to be careful here. Deaf ears. Steve Oates, again, the attorney, and by the way, Steve was also a former airport commissioner himself, okay? Pleaded with the Airport Commission. He said, gentlemen, there's a large growing number in our community that feels like this is a very tainted process, okay? And I'm begging you to open it up for 60 days so that this process can regain integrity. Since we only have 5 minutes left, let me see where I can summarize. We have a situation here where our Airport Commission, for some reason, has deemed it appropriate to deal only with this company out of Cincinnati. Our Airport Commission is getting ready to tar and feather Paul Fournette Air Service and run them out of town. Our Airport Commission would have you believe that Fournette is the problem, The Airport Commission's hands are clean. Millionaire of Cincinnati is the solution. And our Airport Commission has adequately responded to all questions on this matter, and they're ready to move on. You as concerned citizens must ask the question, has the Airport Commission really satisfied their fiduciary obligations to this community? Are they making good, sound business decisions out there at our airport? Are they what you would consider good government? Now, I got to warn you, if you do ask that question, and really the final question has to be, why doesn't our Lafayette Airport Commission want to fly Lafayette? But if you ask that question, here's the deal. Airport Commission doesn't like questions, and their responses are often kind of vague. And I'm going to close with this final example that appeared in last week's newspaper. The Daily Advertiser was doing a story on public servant salaries. All public agencies in Lafayette Parish were requested to furnish the salaries of their employees. And all public agencies in our parish complied with this request except one. And who do you think that might be? Our Lafayette Airport Commission. Let me read you the excerpt of this article, which appeared in the last Thursday's newspaper. Airport Commission complies with public records request. The Daily Advertiser in July requested the names, titles, hire dates, and salaries of Lafayette Regional Airport staff. The request was made of all public agencies in the parish for a story on public servant salaries to be published Sunday. Aviation Director Greg Roberts released the information in parts so employees could not be matched with their salaries. In not releasing the salaries initially, Roberts cited concerns about financial privacy and homeland security risk. It gets better. In a September 1st to the Daily Advertiser, Commissioner Jim Nunn invites a reporter to the next Airport Commission meeting, which I think was on September the 2nd, to explain the need for information. Now, Louisiana public record law does not require citizens to explain why they want information. Going on, your Airport Commission has several questions and concerns about your request, Nunn wrote. Publications on the internet would make this information available worldwide to persons who may use it to place our airport passengers at great risk. That's their response to the Daily Advertisers. So, you guys tell me, do you think we have a problem at the airport? So, that concludes my presentation. I apologize for running a little bit over, and we'll open the floor to questions.
Look, we've still got some tape left, and we're going to expand that. So if you got something you want to talk, would y'all please line up and come and ask the question right here so we can feed it through the mic, if you would.
What I'd like to know is who is on the Airport Commission and who appoints that Airport Commission. The two things are important. Who is on there and who appoints them.
Okay, let me take a crack at responding to that. Richard, correct me if I'm off base. The Lafayette Parish City Council appoints, I think, 6 of those members, and I think it's 5. You have 2 rural and 3 city, and then the area mayors select the other 2. The other 1. And Joey Durrell has 1. Okay, so Lafayette Mayor Joey Durrell has 1, and the surrounding mayors have another mayor election. Who are the commissioners? Jim Nunn is your chairman of the commission. Perry City Council. Dr. Charles Wyatt, a heart surgeon in town, is another commissioner. Matter of fact, he's a past chairman. Brenda Burley from Youngsville is another commissioner. Don Higginbottom is another commissioner. Alan Dugas, Carol Robichaud, Paul Colomb. So those are your commissioners of the Lafayette Airport Commission.
I realize you just got the decision a couple hours ago from the FAA, but we were curious on, first of all, what did the FAA say? And second, what's your next step? I mean, do you have any more recourse in any other direction other than the FAA?
That's a very good question. Again, I actually haven't read the FAA ruling yet, but I am told that basically it was somewhat brief and basically said after reviewing all the documents, we found that the Lafayette Airport Commission acted within their rights to appoint Millionaire as the new FBO lessee.
It really wasn't that broad. It was very narrow, in fact. It described the Airport Commission as having, not selecting Paul Pointed Air Services could be considered appropriate in as much as past lease violations were of concern. The lease violations for which you just gave a very good explanation of. Those lease violations, according to the FAA, made it plausible that the Airport Commission could not consider the Paul Pointed Air Service bid. It was very narrow. It did not refer to the Elmore Group bid at all.
Right, right. So again, you know, the point that I was trying to get across in tonight's meeting is that, yes, there was injustice done at the beginning with the proposed merger of the two existing FBOs. But I guess what really bothers me the most is what's happened just in the last couple of months. You know, you can say, well, the Airport Commission, they've had a problem with Paul Fournette Air Service and Lafayette Aero because of this disagreement on the leases. And perhaps that could have some merit. But to then look at the cream of the crop of Lafayette businessmen that are willing to step forward and to take the ball and run with it, and you're not going to let them do that, there's got to be something more to this picture. I just don't know what it is. I just don't know what it is. So that's the part that bothers me the most. The second part of the question is, so what happens now? And that really is a good question. I don't know. I guess that's really up to Paul Fournette Air Service. And really, I guess you guys, the concerned citizens. Give you a prime example, okay? The Lafayette Airport Commission was totally content to stonewall the Daily Advertiser for over 2 months on this public records deal until the Daily Advertiser started putting it in the paper. And only then, and of course you notice it was after Sunday's edition article on it, did they finally fork over the information, okay? So unless they get a lot of heat from the community, again, I promise you, they're ready to move on. They're tired of talking about this, okay? They want it to go away. What is the next recourse? That's really, truly, it's up to Richard Fournette, Paul Fournette Air Service.
We will not go quietly into that good night.
Again, let me say this. Lafayette Aero is no longer an issue. As of Tuesday, September the 5th, Lafayette Aero sold their interest to Millionaire. Millionaire is now on our airport. They're operating as the second FBO. A couple of weeks ago, the Airport Commission served a default letter to Paul Fournette Air Service, notifying them that they were in default of their lease and that they have 30 days to make the $600,000 worth of repairs. So that clock's ticking. And so unless some kind of legal action is taken next, this thing could be fast-tracking. Paul Fournette Air Service could very well be out of here in a short period of time. And that would truly be a travesty. But that's where we're headed. On that particular point now, I need to tell you, and since the FAA has apparently now cited and said the violation of the lease has a bearing in their thought process, neither one of the FBOs nor the legal counsel for Lafayette Aero agreed with the Airport Commission that they were responsible for making these extraordinary repairs. Okay? Legal counsel for Lafayette Aero submitted a letter to the Airport Commission informing them of that. Okay? Now, that's no longer an issue with Lafayette Aero. The Airport Commission has waived and said, you sell to Millionaire, we're dropping everything. You're no longer responsible for spending your $600,000. But Mr. Fournette, you haven't cooperated with us, and even though your lease is set to expire in 16 months, we want you to spend $600,000 on our facilities, which, by the way, the 3 FBOs that bid for the new FBO lease, all 3 of them said those Fournette facilities, they need to be demolished. Our Airport Commission wants to spend $600,000 supposedly to fix those. Okay? Again, it doesn't make sense. It truly doesn't. But that's what we're looking at.
I was just wondering, is there anything that the local government can do to maybe overthrow the Airport Commission or the people who at least put them in power, and you know, maybe raise more local outcry? I guess I know we're doing something right now, but as far as, you know, something like signs, bumper stickers, I mean, I don't know. I know the time is running, and it's just I'm wondering if what else can we do, basically? Yes.
I think the Airport Commission currently is under the misguided opinion that they have been divinely appointed. I have the answer to no one, but in truth, the issue is that they serve at the will of city parish government and the municipality. It was created by city government. It can be uncreated by these governments.
Right.
It doesn't have to be there. It can be abolished and recreated to whatever they want. And I think it's incumbent upon city government to look at that as someone who is maintaining supposedly our assets and doing things in our best interest, and they're not. They think that they're above the law.
Right.
They're above the request from the newspapers. This is above everything. So they have been divinely appointed, but they need to understand they haven't. That's what they.
Right. Mr. Clark, that is your name. I appreciate you for coming here, and I'm just wondering if there's anything that you can do, you know. And I'm putting you on the spot here, you know, but. Okay, thank you.
Me? You want me? Mr. Gordon, don't you think that when you said that Paul Fournette called the so-called facilities that they operate in 5 other locations, and they said they had a flight school. Now, when somebody says something that they have, and they check on that credibility, and they find out that was a falsehood, I think you have a condition right there where these people are not reliable. Do you not think of that? There is a point right there which you can say, bids that people who lie cannot be good. And that's my style.
Just FYI, that specific bit of information was also in the package that we sent to the FAA. So, again, they had access to that. But as far as the Lafayette community, I definitely think that is a story that needs to be told. Definitely is a story that needs to be told, because I think it really hits to the root of the problem of what we have cooking over there. Now, again, still it comes why? Why is our Airport Commission so insistent on this group out of Cincinnati as being the solution to our problems? Don't know the answer.
Well, I'm getting a real good feeling that they're out to eliminate flight training and aircraft rental for starters. This airport has got a tremendous opportunity. It could be put on the map worldwide. Without Paul Fournette and local FBOs, we got no. I'm not looking, to see it come to pass with Millionaire that we're going to maintain aircraft rental for many pilots we got out there, and training all the way up to ATP out here. So.
Is the advertiser here tonight?
Is the Daily Advertiser here tonight? I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah, Pat.
Does the city council, parish council have any overriding jurisdiction other than the appointment process?
Yeah, I think they do.
We do.
Quality Service Commission, he's answering the same thing. They do have the authority to overrule. They can just end. They can just dissolve the entire commission.
They can reverse it. So again, the answer is that our parish council can reverse and I guess abolish the airport commission or change them out, maybe even override or overrule their decision. Understand this though, the airport commission, even though we had an FAA complaint outstanding, they proceeded forward. They signed and executed a lease with Millionaire in mid-August, August the 16th, okay? So we didn't get this ruling until just today, although I understand it was dated September the 6th. But our airport commission, they proceeded forward, executed a binding lease agreement with Millionaire in something like August the 16th. So if you're trying to undo that lease now, somebody's got potential legal repercussions to face, because I'm sure Millionaire's not going to be happy if all of a sudden we try to start undoing the lease. So it's really getting very complicated and confusing.
You know those two items I just talked to you about? That's a national asset for Lafayette Airport, buddy. I mean, that's a national asset. We got tremendous capability here with tremendous talent, and we've got instructors, we got everybody. What about AOPA? When you start talking national level, what about AOPA, Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association? They've been fighting for airports all over the country. We're fighting for an airport here, folks.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to ask the gentleman who he was, and we've got some novices out here that don't understand some of the acronyms. So you might explain yourself a little better. Some of us who don't fly don't understand exactly what you're talking about.
My name is Joe Conegny. I'm a flight instructor out here. I'm Joe Conegny. I'm a flight instructor out of Lafayette. I used to be flying out of Lafayette Airline, out of Paul Fournette, for students that are based out of those facilities. And we've got a number of flight instructors out here. When I said that we were capable of being put on the map as far as training is concerned, at one time, Rich remembers, we couldn't take on any more students. I mean, there's so darn many students out here. We're flying the airplanes like crazy, and they're just in and out of the hangars for maintenance and everything. We've got the capability for private pilot all the way up through multi-engine, ATP, air transport pilot, the whole bit, everything, all the way on up to encompass a wide area of people. I mean, what's next? Baton Rouge? My people didn't go to Baton Rouge. They want to stay here. You've got the best facilities here with a Class C airspace system out here. You've got excellent provisions in air traffic control capabilities. Students can talk to the people from the National Airspace System. They deal with tower, ground, IFR, VFR, you name it, and all kind of variations. Excellent training capability here. How about aircraft rental? You've got 1 million guys out there that right now are non-current since this whole damn thing started, that we've got to bring them back up to currency. Otherwise, they're a safety hazard. You got people who are students. I mean, look at the student capability here. You think Millionaire is going to deal with USL or UL and deal with kids who can't afford the amount of money it takes to go through pilot training, equivalent of a college education for a private one semester for a private pilot's license? Millionaire ain't going to deal with that.
That was Paul's specialty. What you just said.
You got it, bro.
Teaching kids how to fly.
That's it. That's it.
He'd say, pay me when you can.
That's exactly right. I mean, that's why we started. We argued to the commission some time back, and in fact, I got up and I told the dadgum commission. I says, "Hey, listen," I says, "You guys, you got this system. You got the capability for Lafayette being put on the map. When I say on the map nationally, that's why I brought in LPA. So, anyway, it's a darn shame."
Yes, sir.
Another issue is this creates a problem for the airport commission, the tremendous amount of property tax that aircraft owners other aircraft reside in Lafayette Airport. This could create a situation where they would be legally back at that airport. So the property tax dollars to go to other areas.
Charlie, I don't know. I would imagine that you're going to have a number of pilots that are upset, whether they boycott and go to Abbeville or go to New Iberia. You know, that's always a possibility, but it is an inconvenience. So how long that will happen, I'm not sure. But that is a possibility. There could be some repercussions, and maybe people won't be using Millionaire as much as they think. Don't know. Ernie?
I want to make a couple of quick thank yous. You guys might be of the opinion that the Lafayette City Parish Council is all-knowing and all-seeing, but they're not, folks. They're just like everybody else in this room, and they probably don't know what's going on. So first of all, a tip of my hat to Bruce Conner for taking the time to come out here and find out what's going on. And secondly, to Steve Gardner for a great presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any other questions?
What are the qualifications for being on the board?
What are the qualifications for being on the airport commission? None.
Every resident of a particular area that has the seat that is vacated.
Yes, sir.
Steve, I'd like for Rich to stand up and give us a little bit of history of Paul Fournet's air service. And I mean, you don't have to get into all the nuts and bolts, but I think it's important because if I'm not mistaken, my father learned to fly from Paul and went into the Naval Air Force and had a career in the Navy before he came out and came back to Lafayette and was an attorney. And I don't think people really realize what an institution Paul Fournet Air Service is to Lafayette, and what a service it has provided all these years. And that point needs, I think, come out as well. And I know Richard's tried as best he can, but you know, he's been fighting an uphill battle, and this is a good opportunity for some of you to know a little bit about Richard and his.
And I think that's an excellent point. And those that of us that have been around a while, we remember Paul and we know what he did. And that's why at the beginning of my speech tonight, I did talk about the fact that he was a Civic Cup Award winner in 1986. And to get that award, you've got to really be doing a lot of things without compensation for the benefit of the community. And anyway, he was always helping out the state of Louisiana. And we brought that up to the Airport Commission's attention. Guys, do you realize what you're getting ready to do? Now, of course, they came back with the ultimate. Jim Nunn came and talked to me, and he said, tell me, after looking at that proposal, Steve Gardis, what do you think? Well, who did have the best proposal? And I said, well, Jim, I'll have to be candid with you. If Millionaire is, in fact, going to spend $6 million, and if they are, in fact, going to pay fair market value rent as determined by our Lafayette Airport Commission, I guess they do have the best proposal, even though they are going to charge higher fuel prices. He said, thank you very much. 3 months later, they started reneging. Then the whole game changed, okay? I wish he would ask me the question today based on the contract that they signed. Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me if I don't get up in front of the mic.
That's all right, I understand.
But I have a question. What would it take to ask the city council to call a special meeting to review this? There are people that they have on the airport commission. What would it take to do that?
Bruce, is that something that you could respond to?
Very simply, it's asked to be placed on the agenda to meet on the first, third, and fourth Tuesdays of the month. The agendas are generally prepared a week ahead of the actual meeting date. However, on the fourth Tuesday, which is our third meeting, it's wide open to any public comment. So, what do we say? We're meeting next Tuesday, so the agenda's got to be. Call Darla Duga, our clerk of the council. She'll put you on the agenda.
I want to say one more thing.
Yes, ma'am.
I've watched the city council on TV, and I don't think it would be possible to get up there and say what you want to say with enough time. I think it ought to be devoted especially for this situation.
This one issue.
This one issue. A special session just for this.
Yeah, Bruce.
She's referring to our notorious 3-minute rule. That does not apply if you are on the agenda. It only applies to anyone making comments on what's on the agenda. Whoever presents does not have a many time limit.
Bruce, I think that's good what you're saying, but I still say there ought to be just a special session just for that.
Ms. LeBlanc, I made a note just now to ask Pat Hollinger to give me an indication of exactly how much authority and oversight does the city parish council have. I know we have appointing authority. I know we do not approve their budget. So I don't know how extensive an oversight we do have. I think we'll find out.
Pat?
Yeah, Steve, I want to say that in 11 or 12 years that I've been a member of this organization, that this is truly one of the finest presentations I've ever heard about a community issue.
Thank you very much.
I also want to let you know that as of tomorrow morning, my plane is going from Lafayette Airport over to Europe.
I will fight to be there forever to serve that airplane.
And I would also like to further this concept in this discussion that we're having about perhaps putting a little bit of the brakes on this process through the city council, the city parish council. I would suggest that our organization, in a letter to our parish council, request that they perhaps investigate or look into and maybe hold off or direct the airport commission to hold off on any further attempts to solidify this deal or this contract until the whole issue of the bids can be looked into. Because what I'm hearing, if I'm hearing this right, I think there's some very foul circumstances that were brought to bear on what was supposed to be a public bid process. Whenever you have a bid date, a time when everyone is supposed to turn in a bid, and then you give someone an extra additional time to come back and amend their bid after those bids have been opened, you have created a very, very unscrupulous situation in terms of the public trust that's brought to bear.
That's the name part.
Probably so. The public trust has been violated when you give somebody a backdoor opportunity to come in and submit another bid if nobody else was allowed to do that. So I would say at this point, as a member, I would like to make a motion that we propose a letter or that we author a letter to the parish council for them to look into this situation with this contract. Put the brakes on the negotiations at this point and try to come up and resolve this circumstance that has been presented us.
Second motion. And this may be semantics, but I think it's important. What was awarded in April of 2005, back up. What was requested was not a bid. Very important. As far as Louisiana State bid laws, this was not that. This was a request for proposal, which gives the parties wide latitude. And what was being awarded was not the lease. What was being awarded was a priority in negotiating position. So, I know that sounds a little bit inside baseball, but it does make a difference.
Mr. Fournette, I am very familiar with
Okay, good.
RFPs. I fill them out every day.
Good, okay.
There's a prescribed timeline, and when you
You're
violate
right.
the timeline, they throw you out.
You
And
were
that's
right.
what apparently has happened here, is that somebody has gotten the last look and has violated the requirements of the RFP in terms of its time limitation.
Right.
So I don't think it was a valid response. The after the fact, 4 day later proposal should have been thrown out, should have never been looked at. There's a problem with
Thank
that.
you.
There's a legal problem
Thank you.
with that.
Go get it, Pat.
I might interject this to your motion.
There's a motion on the floor. We need to have discussion.
Second, sorry, it's second.
Before you vote on that motion, let me just bring up this one point. Again, they have already signed a lease with Millionaire. Millionaire has already consummated the purchase of Lafayette Aero. They have already moved on to the airport. They're operating as we speak. So to me, the most important thing is to stop the movement, the 30-day clock of removing Paul Fournier Air Service. They're getting ready to evict them within 30 days. So that should be the first order of priority, a freeze, standstill, if you will. So then we could have time to talk things and vet things out. But if not, within 30 days, Paul Fournier Air Service may not be on the airport, and then things are going to be even more difficult. You need to understand that Mr. Fournette is already having his employees hit upon daily to move over to Millionaire. So it's a situation that's tough as we speak.
Steve, I would accept that as an amendment to the original motion that we ask the council to put a freeze on any action that would remove Paul Fournette from the airport.
Second.
We draw that in.
Mr. Gordes,
Yes, sir.
would you mind writing that correspondence that we're going to give to the council?
The council, sure. I'm not an attorney, but I'll prepare it. We'll let Mr. Ottinger take a look at it.
I'm an attorney. All right.
Go ahead,
Without taking a position on this issue, what I will specifically request of Pat Ottinger, our legal counsel tomorrow, is can we indeed do that? Yes or no? And we'll have an answer in a couple of days. Because the process you're suggesting, although it's a good one, it's going to take weeks.
Yes, Denise.
What lease did they sign? Is it for the unexpired term of Lafayette Aero, or is it their new lease?
No, it's a new lease.
Really?
It's
And
yeah.
if they were supposed to spend money on leasehold improvements, did the airport just approve spending $400,000 on their building?
420.
I thought they were supposed to come and spend money, but we've now spent taxpayer money getting their facility up.
What Millionaire has agreed to do is they're going to come in and build a new 10,000 square foot terminal and a new hangar. And what the Lafayette Airport Commission has agreed to do is they're going to fix the old Lafayette Aero roof to the tune of $420,000. Okay, so why?
Long-term lease.
It goes to show you that maybe Lafayette Aero's attorney had something in the first place when he said, Airport Commission, you don't have the rights to make us spend capital improvements. There's a difference between what's repairs and maintenance and what's really a renovation or an expansion or a capital improvement. And when you start talking about a $420,000 roof, much less when you're in the last 2 years of your lease, but the legal counsel felt like they had good grounds against the Airport Commission. Yes, sir.
Steve, is it fair to say that we can assume from this that their motto is that we don't care because we don't have to?
Correct.
Ooh, you said that, I didn't, but I think that's a great statement. Yes, sir. I think you hit the nail on the head.
And by the way, my name is Dick Nelson, and I'm from Karen Crow.
And you're running for Airport Commissioner next year, right?
I'm crazy, but I'm not stupid.
Yes, Denise.
Okay, can you explain whether this is exclusive or is this non-exclusive? Because Jim Nunn has been quoted saying that they're entering an exclusive arrangement, and then he said in the paper, there is no such thing as an exclusive deal for an FBO. Anybody can have an FBO at the airport.
That's true.
Okay. Here we go. This is a typical response from the Airport Commission. What Mr. Nunn said is correct. When you receive funds from the FAA, you cannot have an exclusive right like that. So therefore, anybody can come onto this airport. Now, the practicality of the situation is that Millionaire has acquired the lease space of Lafayette Aero. In the long-term lease agreement is that upon December 07, or if not sooner, if Fournette is evicted, they're also going to take over Fournette's lease space. At that point, they have leased up all the practical FBO space at the airport. Okay? For someone else to come out to that airport, they would have to spend zillions, a lot of money, okay, to build this other FBO, okay? And it would most probably be cost prohibitive. Now, Mr. Nunn is correct. Yeah, we'll talk to anybody. And if someone else wants to come in and move out way over there and build additional aprons and all this kind of stuff, let them have at it. But it's economically not feasible. No one is going to do that. Okay? So it's a play on words. But yeah, they'll talk to anybody if you want to come and explore that option with them.
They wouldn't talk to Herbie Schilling, Matt Spella, Katie Ann Edwards. They wouldn't talk to them, but anybody they can talk to.
John, they were too late, and they were going to impact the integrity of the process.
Obviously not good businessmen, I think.
I asked you a while ago who was on the commission. Now I'm going to ask you one more question. Can you tell us who the attorney is for the airport commission?
Glenn Edwards with the Davidson Moe firm. A good friend of mine. I like Glenn.
Straight shooter. He is.
What type of entity is the Airport Commission? Is it considered a non-profit organization?
It's a government body.
It's a government body. I don't know whether that falls non-profit. Most probably not. It's a governmental agency.
Service agency.
Service agency. Any other questions?
Just one more.
Yes, sir.
Has there been any attempt at litigation up to this point at all, other than the FAA?
No, sir.
No, it's been my prayer that we could resolve this amicably, and that may come to an end.
Yeah, John.
Are you aware, can the airport commissions be held liable for malfeasance in office and something like that? Individually be sued?
They have error.
They have a D&O coverage?
Yeah.
So, again, that's answers or questions for attorneys. Yes, sir.
I just have one
Wally.
remark. Fair Council is the solution to this whole thing is for the City Fair Council to have a liaison plan to coordinate and know what's going on at the airport. He just covered 10%. And after 14 years on that, I can tell you what the other 90 is. And it's not pretty. But I'm just saying they need to monitor the commission and know what's going on a daily basis or weekly or hourly.
And again, Wally, I think that's an excellent point. And again, keep in mind, the makeup of this commission changes. It's constantly changing its membership. And so as you get different personalities, you get different priorities, different visions, and or no vision. So
yeah, commissions of this nature, that's one of the problems of any commission is institutional memory. But all commissioners have that. Commissions have that problem because they all serve staggered seats. It's not like, you know, the benefits that Wally had in his 14 years. You lose that, but that's germane to all commissions.
Yes, sir.
Do the commission, council or members, do they draw salary or are they volunteers?
They're volunteers. So,
except for Greg Roberts, parish pays them an annual for their budget, $1.7 million village. That's pretty important.
pays the airport.
Yeah.
$1.7 million goes to the airport per year. So again, we pay the airport a good bit, but the commissioners themselves serve without pay. They're volunteers.
They're not a millionaire.
Greg Roberts is part of staff. Staff is full-time employees. They all receive a salary. And in fact, it was in Sunday's paper what Mr. Roberts' salary was.
Any other questions? It's an important issue, so we're going to take a vote in a second because we're going to go ask Paul something. Richard in a second.
Okay, well, again, I enjoyed speaking to you tonight, and
tough subject, but he's done a real good job. by the way, before our representative leave, Bruce, did you want to possibly make a statement on something, on approach that you might have? I promise you, we won't let anybody get to you.
I'll let you know more what's going on, and I'll start tomorrow.
All right, very good. Well, we'd certainly like to want to vote, and everybody heard the motion and the second and also the amendment, and everybody has heard everything that we talked about this evening. Everybody in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? So carries. We will actually get with you, Steve. I'm gonna make sure that Pat works on this project with us and have that worked out to where we as a group can continue going forward. I'd like to also ask Richard, if you would possibly be able to tell us that if you prepared on this lease, I mean, you know, you're not going to walk out as you said. Do you have an attorney that can get out there and bang heads with these other attorneys? That's what I'm looking at. I think you can definitely buy some time, putting a group like this and the group that's come here tonight to organize a serious mounting, totally objecting what's taking place, and the city council being the place we need to go. We've got one man here, and all we just got to see the other 8. And I think that that's an important issue. That's the way you're going to get it done. I firmly believe that. Give you time with the yard signs. You know, we changed Ray Onemont where he was going in direction with 100, and it started right here, guys. I'm just telling you, we will not quit, okay? Give yourself a hand.
Well,